I'm Jim Check. You're watching Kelowna Now. I'm here again with Mohini Singh, a regular now. And we're still
It's hard to say no to you.
There you go. Who says no to me? We're still talking about global. So you're on a mission to save the global station.
Well, it's
in the
my,
Okanagan.
that station was a big part of my life, and over 1/3 of my life, and I'm very passionate about local news and local information, and the clear process and the clear channeling of information to the public. Everybody who has one of these can be a reporter and take pictures and put out information.
Citizen journalism.
Yeah, but it's not always accurate.
Yeah. So the good news is Global saw the story, and they're going to send their news director here, and we're going to sit down with them and talk about it. So they're going to clear up some misconceptions.
And I'm glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear that, because we as the public, I'm not part of the station anymore. Right. I'm like you, a viewer. With a heightened sense of passion for Global Okanagan. But we do not know what the plan is. We do not know why. We do not know how. We don't know the implications on our community. These are questions that we as the public want to know.
I think we need to fight for all media voices in community right now.
I agree.
Including ourselves and global. I don't want to see global go away. I think we need many voices, and we need independent journalism, and we need many voices. We can't have one strong voice only in a community.
Global Okanagan, when I was there, was CHBC, the Okanagan's very own, is the thread that binds the whole valley, right, and brings people in the Similkameen to learn about people in the Shuswap. Now, thank God we still have the Kelowna Cap News that has a very wide coverage area, and but they're also under threat. All the media outlets in our town, we're dying. What's that saying? We're facing death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, I would say it's a tough media market right now, and then the government's plan with Bill C-18 has not helped. That
has not helped.
That's
it
actually
hasn't
hurt
helped people like you.
No, it hasn't helped anybody really, because I mean, if you look at Global stock chart, it doesn't look good, right? You can go look at Post Media. You can go look at Torstar's not Publican, but you can look at all of them. It hasn't helped anybody in the way of traffic, right?
You know what? And also with reference to Global, the chitter chatter develops a life of its own in the community and creates a sense of unease and annoyance and irritation amongst the public, because honestly, we love local news. Yeah. We want our local news to continue.
I was on CBC the last Friday, and there's a study that was released, 11 million less views a day for news because of Bill C-18. Yeah. So it's not helping. The government needs to go back to the table, or we need to switch the government, either or. Like, they need to go back to the table. It's not hurting Meta. Again, you go look at Meta stock chart, it's soaring, and most of the media outlets are suffering, including us, right? Like, they took away an audience of 200,000 from us, right? And the same goes for Global. Had a big Facebook audience, as did, everybody had their own audience, and a lot of people consume their news, and it shows on there. People aren't seeking out news; they're just consuming less. They're consuming 11 million less views a month, so less.
But then I'm sure there are other ways people are looking for their information, and that's the problem. Will that information be correct? Will that be accurate?
There are some YouTube people out there that aren't doing fact checking and don't adhere to journalistic standards and all that kind of stuff. So,
and are not accountable.
Yeah, correct. And then the cool thing about organizations like ourselves and like Global, there's a phone number where you can call in. There's you can see that it's a local, like when you were on Global TV, they see you in the grocery store and say, Mohini, that story was, that wasn't good. And you'd feel accountable, right, to the public, right?
Absolutely.
And it's tougher when like it's somebody from across the world or from across, even in Toronto, they're not accountable to the local community, right? So that's why we need local journalism.
I couldn't agree more.
Right.
And also, it's also the need for immediacy. When global stories from here will be packaged in Vancouver and then aired, what if something breaks out at the time of its scheduled airtime, right?
Right.
You
I get it. I get it.
Go live.
Yeah, and there is people, and I would say there's other sources, but there are people that are really kind of like got their habits and rituals, and they just watch global TV at night.
Yeah. We still have a generation that doesn't
news hour.
We still have a generation that doesn't go on, check out their iPhone for information and so on.
For sure.
And like their 5 o'clock newscast, and dinner after.
You and I could do the 5 o'clock news.
We'd be great.
If they would just give us a station, right? You and I could do it.
You'd have to stop wearing your hat.
No, this is a trademark. This is the thing.
All right.
That and the other outfit parts.
I'm not going to say anything on the air. Off air, let's talk.
So that's good news, is that Global, the news director for BC, is going to come in. We're going to chat. And he's going to clear up misconceptions.
Well, it's interesting to note that we had to raise a bit of a stink for him to come.
Well, that's the power of media, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's your power, yeah.
There you go. So that's it.
And thank you for giving me that voice to get some answers. And maybe it'll all be good. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I need to know.
Well, it's questions asked, questions answered.
Correct.
Isn't that how it works?
Yeah.
There you go.
Always, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I haven't stopped my little rant till I feel our community is well served. Even with the changes, maybe they're making a business decision.
Right.
But if our community is still well served, that's all I want to know.
Just some water there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think, again, local media is important, and I think many voices is important. I think losing any voice is sad. And in this market, we've seen cuts all over the place. And Kamloops this week was one of them that cited Bill C-18 for their demise, and they closed everything. They closed the online, the publication, everything. And that was the end. But a lot of the other ones have made, cuts, like, Bell's made cuts, Global's made cuts, they've made cuts.
But there probably will be a rebirth. There has to be. We as humans love to know what's happening.
I think that the government needs to get out of the way. Do you know what I mean? Like, because a funding model by the government is not a model that is sustainable, because we have in Canada where we change government every 4 years, 8 years, 12 years. And when we change governments, and if they decide not to fund things, then all of a sudden you could have that rug pulled out from underneath. We need to find a way to make media sustainable without relying on a particular party of the government.
Mm-hmm. So your point being the CBC?
No, I'm not saying the CBC. I think CBC is very important to Canada. I think it's very important to Canada. But I think we need to figure out a way so that it's funded without the control of the government in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, the government needs to be almost like, so that it can't be cut and then increase depending on which way they go. Do you know what I mean? Like, things should be decided so that there's not this whipsaw effect. Because right now there's a threat of CBC being cut if the government changes. Yeah. Right? And there's
Which
a threat.
Would be disastrous.
But there's a threat right now to all the other media outlets, because they're not getting enough. Some of them are getting, we get zero, and it seems unfair, right?
So back to Global, Jim. Global, is a business.
It is.
And should be run.
It's a public company.
Yes. And Global Okanagan has the potential of making money. Yeah. There is money to be made. We were short one sales person. We didn't even have enough of a sales staff there to sell ads. Nothing coming from Vernon.
But they cannot take that piece out of the puzzle, because they are a public reporting company, right? So they have rules in how they operate, right? So unless they sell that portion outside the public company, but they follow a bunch of rules. They follow CRTC rules for what they broadcast, but they also follow rules for, as a public reporting company, right, to the shareholders, because there's public shareholders. Like, you can go buy. If you went out right now, and its stock's pretty cheap, if you you could buy a controlling interest in Global, and you can make decisions.
You could, I couldn't.
Yeah, somebody could. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could. There's the opportunity right now, but there's a lot of debt, right? So
I honestly believe Kelowna, the way we're growing, our business sector is expanding. Yeah. Our population is growing. There is every need to have a very vibrant television station.
I believe media serves a really big role.
Yeah, I agree. Media across the board.
And they serve a big role, but they also have to earn back some of the public trust. I think sometimes there's been this divisiveness and stuff like that, and I think there's a lot of things that have lost trust, and I speak as media as a whole, right? They've lost some trust, and the people have to know that the media fights for the people. They need to be the voice of the people. Media needs to be the voice of the people,
and also the voice that keeps everybody on the straight and narrow.
We have to hold power accountable. That's our main function, right? Our main function is to hold power accountable. Otherwise, you're
just telling stories of cats and dogs.
Well, we could do that too, but but our main function is to hold power accountable, and that I think people like that when we hold power accountable, right?
Absolutely. And me as an elected official, I like it too.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the fun. Keeps you honest, right? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I am very honest.
I know that, but I'm just saying, if politicians weren't held accountable, there's an opportunity to do things that aren't.
When I'm asked a difficult question, I like it because it gives me the opportunity to explain why I made the decision the way I made it.
Absolutely.
And those who are in my value system or in my wheelhouse will understand, and those who don't won't.
Right.
So
yeah. So again, just like local media, local politicians are more accountable because you see them in the grocery store. Do you know what I mean? Like you're accountable to the public more so because you have to interact with the public. Whereas if you're in provincial or federal politics, obviously a lot of them live in kind of an echo chamber and they're not accountable to the people as much, right? Because they see the people, and they're more isolated because they need to be protected more, right? Because how many people protect you? You have a detail that goes around with you or anything? I think Justin Trudeau has 12 vans or trucks or something. How many do you have?
0. I have a dog that bosses me around.
You got the transit bus, right? You got $150,000 chauffeur-driven limousine.
Yeah, so I was at a Punjabi show, and I had to welcome the singer to Kelowna, and he started the show by making fun of me and saying that, look at you, you're living in, he was actually not making fun of me, but he was
roasting
saying
you?
A little bit of a roast and a toast. But he said that, look how lovely it is here. You're just sitting by yourself here with nobody next to you. Yeah. And in India, you would have had 6 people in front, 6 people in the back. And so that was quite funny, actually, the way he said it. So there we go. To your point.
I can be your entourage anytime you need one.
You'll have to stop with the hat.
Again with the hat, eh?
And the gold. But back to global.
So that's 2 things now.
I think the clock is ticking.
Yeah. But we'll see what we get for answers on August 16th.
And I'm really glad to know they're coming because I, along the rest of the community, really wants to know, what are your plans and why and where do we go from here? Sure. How do we benefit? How is this good for our community? How does the news get portrayed? Do we have access to airtime beyond news in terms of local programming? Right. All these questions remain so unanswered. Right. And it just feels like the axes come down, boom, take it or leave it.
Well.
Oh, there's no taking it, just leave it.
Well, hopefully we get some answers on August 16th that satisfy you.
Well, me and the rest of the community,
for sure.
It's not about me. I just happen to be the voice that's gone off on a rant. The other thing I do want to say is it would be interesting to know if they're willing to come to the table to see how it can be saved as an independent station. Is there any
I don't think those discussions would be with the news director. Those discussions would be with the parent. Would be with the parent company, right? So
for sure, sure.
That's not. That wouldn't be in his purview.
No, I understand that, but I'm just trying to see, would he be able to shed light on any possibility of us saving the station?
Again, I would say, I would think that it wouldn't be in his purview, right? His would be on just like an operational thing and how the news works, right? So I would assume. Again, knowing public companies, I've worked for 1 or 2 of them, so yeah. Well,
that's at least better than nothing right now.
Hey, it's progress, right? It's if you get people to listen and give you answers, that's all you can ask for.
And you know what? Maybe if I were in your shoes, Jim, don't let me tell you what to do, but if I were in your shoes, I would really stress the importance of local news and local access.
We do that every day. Every day we beat that drum. And if you get a chance, you can watch the interview I did with CBC I did it on Friday, and I also posted it on my LinkedIn. You can watch that interview. And then I think there's a guy writing a story on us right now, a media journalist. He's doing a story on us as well. So,
see, all I want to see is our community have the ability to express themselves through a medium, express their concerns, raise issues, and be able to be heard and seen. And, you know, thank God for even though the Daily Courier has shrunk in size, I'm told they do have an office in Kelowna. I'm sorry, I aired last time when I said that.
Yeah, they do. I think it's on Lecky.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. But I'm really glad they still exist in whatever form. I'm so glad for the Kelowna Cap News. They cover such a large, wide part of the region. Thank God Castanet is doing what it's doing. Everyone is struggling.
Are we in there anywhere somewhere?
And you are right on the top. No. You're right on the top because you know what you're doing is you're operating on a small budget, but you're doing everything to keep local voices heard. So for that, one has to thank you and commend you.
And I think we'll leave it at that for today. And
I have more compliments.
You have more? You have more?
Just kidding. But you know what? I'm really happy to hear what's happening on the 16th. And thank you for giving me a chance to vent so we get answers.
You can always come back, too. And we thank you for watching Kelowna Now.